This podcast was produced on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation.
Welcome to Australia.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
This is kind of tragic.
Someone who is such a connoisseur of reality television.
The content is hideous.
So sorry about this. Oh my God.
Welcome back to The Cringe is Real, the podcast that cringes along with Australian reality TV and pop culture at large. I'm Sam Cremian, and on today's off-season episode, I'm joined by himbo Paul Mizzi to deep dive on For the Love of DILFs Season 2. For the Love of DILFs first aired in January 2023 on Canadian network Out TV. Back this year, Season 2 sees the return of host Stormy Daniels and Aussie narrator Dr DILF, once again bringing together a new cast of Daddies and Himbos to see whose love connection will last, winning the $10,000 investment into their relationship. Paul Mizzi, welcome back to The Cringe is Real.
Thank you, and thank you for calling me a himbo, because I'm definitely a daddy.
Well, I thought I would assume that role, but you know, I'm open to discussion on that one. We can both be daddies. How are you going? What are you watching at the moment?
Well, definitely I've watched a couple of good reality shows. My current obsession is a new one on Amazon Prime called Going Home with Tyler Cameron. Have you heard of this?
So you mentioned it, and I watched a trailer just now, and the take I'm getting is he's like an ex-bachelorette contestant who's like a hot cowboy, and he goes home to like work in his like family building business again, where he flips houses shirtless. Is that about right?
It's exactly it. And
I can't imagine why you're interested in this show.
Tyler Cameron is a gorgeous, gorgeous man. Like, I could watch him read the phone book, really, but watching him renovate houses with his shirt off, like with a giant mallet banging down walls, and it's just too much. And he also has two hot brothers as well that come and help him, and it's just a lot. But if you're a fan of shirtless men, I would recommend Going Home with Tyler Cameron.
Look, I would like to go home with Tyler Cameron, so I'll give it a go.
I think we all would. And then the other reality show I've been binging at the moment is Too Hot to Handle Germany. So I have a group of friends. We religiously watch any Too Hot to Handle content that is released. So we binge through all the American seasons, all the the Latin season, the Brazilian season, all that. And now all we've got left is the German one, and then we've watched them all. So,
sorry.
Look, this is one of the most reliable reality shows on TV. There hasn't been a bad season, I think. Like just watching a bunch of beautiful people being punished for having sex with each other is always satisfying. So,
incredible. Have they changed anything with the format at all, or is it exactly the same? Because I dipped out after season 1. Yeah.
Nah. So probably the only thing that really changes is because everyone knows the show now, they have to like be more elaborate on tricking them at the beginning of the season to think they're on different shows. But then...
so they still do that? The whole you're here to fuck, and then they're like, guess what? There's a little Lana robot that's going to stop you from fucking. And they're all like, oh. That's great.
They still do that. But now they have to get really elaborate with the shows that they make them think they're on at the beginning, which is always quite funny. But
this show that we're about to talk about today, it strikes me as like a fake show premise. It doesn't seem real at any point, which is something I love about it. I am watching at the moment, I'm in a bit of a Vanderpump slump. So not only do we have season 11 of Vanderpump Rules, which is fucking fantastic, all of the fallout from Scandal continues and it's just delicious. We've also got Vanderpump Villa, which is her new show where a bunch of like bartenders and waiters from Vegas get plonked in the French countryside in her chateau to serve annoying American guests. But they don't seem to do any actual work, these people. They just get drunk with the guests and make out with them, which is fantastic. So I'm deep in that. There's also a spin-off of Vanderpump Rules on at the moment as well called The Valley, which is like the washed up cast members who now have kids and live in the suburbs of LA. And it is fucking amazing. And also makes you never want to have kids. Like it's like contraception in a TV show. Like watching these people's lives, you're just like, oh my God, what have they done? They're all horrible. They haven't changed a bit from when they were younger. So that's kind of got me going at the moment.
I haven't watched any Vanderpump content. So is it something I need to get into?
I think so. A good place to start would be Vanderpump Rules, like from the start. It's honestly one of the most iconic of that kind of soft scripted format show, I think, out there. And the characters are just like the worst people in the universe, which makes it irresistible.
Sounds amazing.
Speaking of the worst people, should we get into our discussion of For the Love of DILFs season 2?
Yeah, I'm so keen.
Amazing. So episode 1 starts, we get Dr. DILF, your favourite disembodied gay relationship expert, who introduces the premise of the show, which is Daddies and Himbos couple up to find true love. Were you familiar with the show? Did you watch season 1?
I didn't see season 1. I always meant to. And then when we were speaking, I thought I'm just going to jump into season 2 because I feel like we could do an episode on this. And I think I'll go back and do season 1 because this was amazing television. Amazingly awful television.
I honestly think this season was better because I think the characters were a little bit more crazy and they were a bit thirstier to be there, which was good. But season 1 had like hotter guys, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But like less drama in season 1, but definitely a hotter selection to look at. No offense.
If I were to if I were to describe this show in one word, it would be unhinged. Like everyone's crazy. The format is insane. Like I didn't actually understand what was happening most of the time. Like the eliminations are just so random. And like, what is even the point of the eliminations? Like, what are they trying to achieve by them? Like nothing, like all those kind of parts of reality TV, the format of what we're used to is just out the window, and it's just like whatever the fuck they feel like doing that episode is what's going to happen. So,
well, I actually think so. Last time you were here, we talked about Abby Chatfield on Fuckboy Island, and I feel like there's actually a lot of parallels between the tongue-in-cheek nature of that show, especially like the writing of the little skits. And like what Dr. DILF has to say on this show and Stormy, those little bits they play with each other, very similar in the way that it presents, I think. This one is just because it's a little bit more like B grade, like it's on some weird Canadian cable channel that no one's got. I feel like they get away with a lot more silliness on this one.
And then it just like goes into these weird places. Like there's a scene where like I'm sure we'll talk about it, but like Stormy Daniels starts like getting angry at everyone, and I thought it was a joke, and then it just keeps going, and it actually seems she's actually angry at everyone. I'm like, is this actually happening? Like,
she
she
gets really into it. Like it's like Jeff Probst in Survivor, like getting so into it that like he is the show now, and he like comes down on people, like Dad being like, no. So speaking of Stormy, she comes in at the start and she looks even more insane than last year. You're just like, wow. They immediately start trolling her and saying that, you know, a drag queen's done her makeup and it's just heaven. Dr. DILF is such a good character. I love that we never see him. I love that he, like, on Love Island or whatever, they have like a northern accent person doing the narration, but here we get an Australian accent as the comic relief. That is fucking funny. He at no point gives any actual advice to anyone, but they claim that that's what his role is. He seems just there to troll everyone and throw a lot of shade, which has made my job today very easy because he pretty much spells out like how ridiculous the show is as it goes forward. The theme song slaps as well. So
Daddy, it was in my head
Daddy,
today.
Oh, Daddy. But my one criticism with the theme song is they need to do a spell check because they spell Daddy D-A-D-D. I'm like, you are missing a letter in the pronunciation of that. Did you clock that as well, or am I just an OCD?
I didn't actually notice it, but I mean, it
Next
fits
time
the
you hear
production because everything feels like there's a bit missing in this show. Like the place they live in is just. Yeah, the place they live in is so unkept. Like the fact that, you know, you watch a lot of other reality TV shows, everyone's like in a nice new outfit every day. Everyone's wearing the same thing every day. Like it just feels so like they didn't prepare everyone properly for anything. It's just chaos.
It's literally like they all got the call that morning and it's like, we're shooting today. How fast can you get to Fort Lauderdale or wherever the fuck it is? Oh my God. So let's meet the himbos. We start with Aaron. He is Canadian gay Jesus and an ex-figure skater. He's got a bit of like a lost hippie vibe, but I'm kind of here for Aaron. What were your first impressions?
I thought he was really cute, and I like the fact that he had like a I don't give a fuck attitude, which a lot of the other guys like seem to be taking themselves way too seriously, whereas he was just seeming to have a bit more fun with everything. So I was instantly rooting for him.
Yeah, he did seem like he was there to be a bit silly and like make some fun TV, but then like it kind of backfires, I think, because everyone else was given the cue of act like you are here for love and like that whole trope. And I don't think he wanted to like play into that a bit, which ended up seeing his downfall, which we'll get to. Nick is the antithesis of Aaron. Up next, he's a self-proclaimed West Hollywood socialite. He's a model, a promoter, an MC, and he's gross.
Such an unappealing person. Just, you know, if you were ever in the same room as that person, you just want to be as far away as possible.
Just like a tiny little pit bull, like going. I also looked up his OnlyFans, and it's so toxic. He's of course one of those like thirst trap gays where it's like there's no actual content on there. It's just like, you know, a cheeky like bit of butt crack or something. And he's like, he. It's just like, oh, you are the worst.
Pulling a Harry Jowsey.
Fuck it. Funny. Yes, very that. Rico is next. Fucking woof. He's a thick Latin cowboy, and I was into it from the start. Plus, I liked his vibe. He had a very sexy vibe. What do you think of Rico?
No, not for me.
You went into it
instantly off by Rico. No, there's just something about his whole vibe. There just seemed to be, I don't know, like a darkness there behind his eyes. I don't know. I just felt creeped out by him. I'm sorry.
I thought he was so sweet, and I was rooting for him. Oh, there you go.
No.
Daniel is next. Daniel is the breakout star of this show. Daniel and
Yeah.
the twin who we haven't met yet, Derek. But
Yeah.
I have had him, or both of them, likened to me with Roger from American Dad, the alien character. The voice and the vibe, just like, oh, he is my man, and I am looking for a daddy. Like, I was like, are these people for real? His introduction is, I'm just trying to find my daddy up in these streets. What? Like, talk to me about Daniel.
I also got a lot of I got a lot of Napoleon Dynamite's brother as well. In that voice. But it's funny, like at the beginning when you're introduced to Daniel and when you're eventually introduced to his twin brother Derek, they do seem fucking ridiculous. And it's like, what are these people? But by the end of the season, I was like, this is them. Like, that's so genuine. 100%. And like, I actually grew to love them. Like, they were my faves. Yeah.
Totally. Because at the start, you're like, oh my God, this person is going to drive me insane. But then, when you meet the twin, when it all makes sense, you're like, oh, this is great. And I want that spin-off of them. I want to see their lives. Like, oh my God, just felt like fly on the wall with them, like going out to the clubs. Fuck yeah. That would be amazing. Next we meet Marquise.
Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, next we meet Marquise, or Keese as he then becomes known as later, who is a model, a dancer, and a surfer. And he's the one that just immediately starts twerking, to which everyone is a little bit like, oh, like, don't get thirsty. Then there's a bit of a record scratch moment and Rico drops his phone in the lake. And I'm like, what is this? And the fact that they kept that in, I was like, this show is unhinged, as you say.
Yeah. Like, why do they have their phones on them? It's like reality show 101. Take everyone's phones away.
Take the phone.
Like, let them.
Know. Stormy enters looking like a busted drag queen, and introduces us to the daddies. So, but first there's a twist. The himbos have to blindfold up and they're not going to be able to see the daddies. They're going to have to do a little sniff and touch test first. Love this twist. So funny. At first I was like, oh God, this is not going to end well. But it ends up kind of like dictating a bit of drama like later on through the selection process, which I like. Because I love on these shows how they get paired up pretty much randomly and then they act like that. Like some characters act like that's their person that they've been given. So first we meet Big Sal. He's from New York City. He's a silver fox with a lot of interesting work to the face. What did you think of Big Sal?
Yeah, like, you can tell what a life he's had through his face. And I guess because he can't make expressions anymore, it's very hard to read what's going on there. But he's giving like full of himself, Wall Street bro grossness. I wasn't here for him.
Oh yeah, he's giving like midlife crisis. Like he's just finished this like boring ass long career and now he's like, fuck, I've got all this money but like no friends, no partner, I'm alone in this like beautiful New York apartment. So he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go on a reality show to find it. And he was a bit creep. Like some of his comments some of his comments about the younger guys, I was like, oh, Like, especially when Hazel comes in later and he's just like, yeah, the body, like, beautiful, smooth body. And I was like, oh, no, Daddy, calm down. Jimmy is your ginger daddy from Chicago. I fucking love Jimmy on this show because it's like he's just crawled out of a hole in the earth and has never experienced life before.
Or sunlight, specifically.
Yeah.
The whitest person on earth, which the show calls out so many times, which is hilarious.
Dr. DILF trolls him a lot about that. It's fantastic.
When we're introduced to him, I was like, this guy is just like, there's something off-putting about him. But by the end of the season, I was on the train with him because like he was the only one that like would be brave enough to say it how it is a lot of the time, and a lot of his takes I totally 100% agreed with. So he did win me over by the end of the season, I have to say.
Same here, and I think it's because he was being genuine to himself as well. Like he didn't change for the show. He's actually just a strange person, and and he calls out some behavior later on, which is good.
Yeah.
Last but not least, there's more. We got Nigel next, who is our intense bear daddy. I feel like he will stalk and potentially kill someone at some point. The intensity of him, I found so off-putting. I really wanted to like him at the start, and then just more and more throughout the show, I got so creeped out.
Look, Sam, I want nothing but success for this show, but I truly do not want him to listen to this because I have to say, he is probably the most repellent reality TV show person I've ever experienced. Like, I actually just want to run away from my screen every time he came up. It's just the way he talked, the way he presented himself, like he's just utter insanity. It was just so like it turned my stomach. I just felt bad for him and everyone around him at all points. Yeah, I was flabbergasted by how awful this character was.
It's true, and I occasionally caught myself feeling sorry for him, and then I had to be like, no, stop it. He's a grown-ass man, and he's behaving very strangely. But yeah, he needs to take a fucking Xanax and like have a lie down, I reckon. Like just some deep breaths.
Intense therapy. Like, is it actually on the producers of this show? Was it, morally right for them to have cast this person in the first place? Like, did this show, because like I know a lot of reality TV shows, they screen the contestants and make sure that they're in a right mental space to be on this platform. And I'm just guessing, did they not do that? And is it on them? Yeah.
I think that they poked him along the way to be like even more insecure than... I think they identified he was an insecure person and then was like, great, what we're going to do is we're going to make him feel really insecure at all moments. Like, you're right. I think they did do him dirty a bit, but yeah, wow. And they definitely like gassed him up in those confessionals, because some of the delivery on those confessionals, I was like, calm the fuck down, mate. Like, this is
just the manic look in his eyes when he's delivering these impassioned speeches about bullshit is like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. Yeah.
Love it. Next we meet Luders, who's the sexy Haitian daddy. He's always wearing like a tight long sleeve mesh top. And I was like, okay, didn't get much from Luders. What were your thoughts?
Not until that last episode.
Yeah. Firecracker waiting to explode.
Yeah, he's got one of the craziest storylines that I still don't quite understand what happened. And I'm sure we'll go into it. But yeah, like at the when you meet him, he's kind of just like, there's nothing stand out about this person. He just seems like an okay person. Like, I'm sure we'll find something out. And then like what happens over the course of the show is just insanity.
Aussie Daddy Kane is next. He's a yoga instructor. He's got a kind of old school Byron Bay shaman vibe, but like American. I don't know. I found him very off-putting from the start. Like, he strikes me as someone that's like later in life, like put down the meth pipe and decided to like be all spiritual, but I'm kind of not buying it.
I felt like he just wasn't comfortable like on the show, like being on the show, and you could see the regret in his eyes, and like especially dealing with all these like insane younger people's dramas, you could just see it in his face. He's like, I cannot believe I have lowered myself to this, and you know, it's your fault. You signed up for this fucking show called For the Love of DILFs season 2, which you know there's
exactly zero excuses. But you're right. He seemed embarrassed to be there at times, and also didn't want to pretend, kind of like Jimmy, where they didn't want to pretend to fake a relationship kind of thing. But the difference being that Jimmy actually kind of found someone that he was interested in, whereas Kane did not seem interested in anyone. So the himbos each take turns touching and smelling the daddies, and they choose their favorite, and the daddies can only say, I'm your daddy. Which, like, I was already losing it at this point. This is like 5 minutes into episode 1, and I'm already like, this is fucking insane. Aaron chooses Sal. Nick chooses Kane because he's like, oh, he smells nice. Rico immediately chooses Nigel for the thickness, and there's, you know, we get a lot of cutaways where they're like, I just knew I had to choose that thick and juicy man, and blah blah. And this is where they start their like the bear thing, which I gotta say, as ridiculous as it is, I do love it for like representation. Like, when do we get bears on TV? Like, never. Like, it's kind of fantastic, but they really get excited by it. Daniel chooses Luders, who gets a boner. There's a lot of boners cracked during this show. I think this is the first one of many. And Marquise gets paired with Jimmy by chance. They don't even get to choose. But I'm like, was it fate? We shall find out. Then the blindfolds come off and they get to see everyone. Keese is shocked because he's not been with many white guys. How did you feel about their dynamic, Jimmy and Keese?
Well, yeah, the fact that he hasn't been with any white guys and he picks the whitest guy who's ever lived. And like, they're not a couple you look at and go, okay, they work. Even beyond, then, one being black and one being white. Like, even just everything, the whole vibes, everything just seemed like a very strange match.
Oh, totally. And my initial thought was like, this one isn't going to work. And then I was very shocked. I think it's the next episode where they start like, hooking up in the lift and stuff. Like, some crazy shit goes down on this show that we don't get to see. And I hope that next year they put fucking cameras in every corner of that house, because the hookups that we are spoken about on this show that we didn't get to see, it's not good enough production.
Yeah, and there's that like a whole like argument that happens completely off screen that like informs so much of the season. But I think the other interesting thing about this show is like, most of these couples that are created in this first segment stay for so long in the show. Like, I feel like they could have done more to mix things up more. Like, it's like everyone chooses each other and then most of them stay with the people they've chosen for the entire length of the show, which kind of like takes away a bit of the interest of what these shows are supposed to be about. And people get like really angry at even the suggestion of mixing it up. Like,
So you're bringing me to my first point about this show, which is Aaron and Big Sal don't really vibe. And Aaron's kind of there with the mindset of, well, I didn't vibe with my daddy, so don't the rules allow for a bit of mingling? And this is my favorite bit at the start where he voices to the rest of the himbos like, oh, I'm kind of interested in Kane a little bit. And Nick is like, just a bit of advice about my daddy, like stay away. It's the best line. And that sort of sets the tone for the get your fucking hands and eyes off my daddy. Daniel also contributes to this as well. There's a lot of like, he is my man and I will only have eyes for my man. There's like a lot of that attitude. But I'm with you. I kind of wanted to see them all get to know each other a bit, but we are just off and racing in couples world from the start. Rico and Nigel are just all over each other from the start. Very grabby. We get some pool pashes. They're all kind of getting to know each other a bit. And I love this bit where they're getting to know each other and Nigel's being all coy and like, oh, so, what kind of stuff would you be into if we were to hang out? And Rico's like, well, I would definitely be spitting on you. He's like, straight away, he's like, well, there would be spit involved. And I was like, oh my God. I think this is why I like this guy. Because I'm like, he's a kinky motherfucker. And he's like not afraid to just like straight up be like that. And then you see Nigel's face. He's like interested and enticed, but also a bit like, oh, I didn't realize we were going to get so naughty on camera. And then they just start making out in the pool. And I'm like, this show is everything.
Yeah, that's how you know you're watching a gay reality show when these kind of conversations have an episode 1.
Exactly. Daniel thinks Luders is hot, even though they've got this height difference. But this is where we get the drama because Luders is like trying to play dress up with Daniel. They have like a pajama party and Luders is like, oh, can you wear these pajamas? And we don't know yet that Daniel is a twin.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's some like twin trauma here about like being dressed up the same as someone else, perhaps. And it backfires like crazy. What did you think of that whole schmozzle?
Yeah, like I don't quite get it because I don't think Luders was like being overly forceful about it. He was like, if you want, you can wear these pajamas. And then this is where I feel like maybe we missed, they didn't film enough of this to show us, but it turned into like Luders is this controlling person, is trying to control you, and like everyone's acting like he's like the most toxic person, which once you get to the end of the season, you can kind of see that a bit more in the finale episode. But at this point, it just does not register like what is actually going on here. I feel like we've missed a piece of the puzzle.
Totally, because we get Daniel just being like, I will not be controlled by a man and I will not wear those pajamas because I brought my own pajamas. And I'm like, is this the level of drama we're getting on this show? Like some of the things that those two get upset about is fantastic. So Stormy rocks up. She's got her tits out in her sexy sleepover outfit. She's mad though because she had to take the stairs because someone made a mess in the elevator. And then we find out that it's Jimmy and Keith. And I'm like, did they actually, like, what is this? What do you think happened?
Well, again, they don't show us, so we don't know, and we don't know how much of this is played out, but played up. Sorry, but surely they didn't come all over the elevator. Like, that's pretty insane.
Well, that's what we're being led to believe, Paul, and you know what? I'm gonna stick with it. Then we get a fresh daddy, Anthony, who's a tattered ex-Navy guy. He's fucking hot. And yeah, what did you think of Anthony?
Yeah, he's super handsome, like amazing body. Bit reserved though. Like I don't think there's a lot of personality there. Also, like, his main personality trait is that he's a real daddy and he has a daughter. So, he doesn't show up about this fucking daughter all the time, which would be a major turn off for me. But everyone seems to go crazy for him when he walks in. Yeah.
They do. And then we also meet new himbo. Wait for it. It's Daniel's identical twin, Derek. And this was when I actually like slid off the couch because I was laughing so much. Like they kept this so well hidden because you're already like pissing yourself every time Daniel speaks. And then there's two of them with the same fucking voice going, obviously. Like, it's just thing. They've even got a little they got a trademark thing. They're like, we're the Heart Twins. Dum, dum, dum. And give them a shot.
It's so good. Like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're 100% right. It's just like, just watching their confessionals is enough. Like, they could have made the entire show just their confessionals.
Amazing. So Derek picks Kane and Anthony to have like a three-way date chat with. Derek's very into Anthony. And he tells his twin Daniel, I don't mind playing stepmommy. Which I was like, this is great. And I love that Anthony later on sort of like dangles his daughter like a bit of a carrot to Derek, where it's like, only the, cream of the crop get to meet my daughter. But in Derek's mind, he's just like, I'm nervous to meet your daughter. And it's like, it's not on the cards, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Anthony was trying to nicely tell him that, like, you're not going to meet the daughter. And he's all like picking outfits for the moment they meet in his mind. I thought it was quite funny.
Imagine bringing your daughter on For the Love of DILFs to meet a man, to meet your boyfriend.
And I reckon they tried to get her on the show, but I think it was a no. Aaron and Kane bond over star signs. And then we get more of the pajama gate stuff coming up. Rico brings up some red flags to Nigel. So Nigel's got like a social media side hustle, which I'm like, this is a reality show. I assume they all do. And Rico's already being intense. Like, are you here for me, or are you here for your social media? And there's a bit of contention over that. They've got issues from the start, don't they? These two.
Like, it's like toxic from minute one. Like, they're love bombing each other so quickly. They're just so fucking intense. They're arguing straight away and then justifying it by like, that's a healthy thing to argue. Yeah, maybe like after, the first few months, maybe, but from the first fucking day, it's insane.
I would love to see what happened as soon as the cameras went down, because I feel like they only resolved all their arguments for the sake of the cameras and for like winning. And then I reckon it all fell apart minutes later, but who knows? Prove me wrong. So they play spin the bottle at the slumber party. And Stormy asks a question to whoever it lands on. And it's Keith, and she asks, who do you think should go home? And he's like, Looters, because of the possessive and controlling situation with Daniel. To which I'm like, possessive and controlling, mentioned wearing some pajamas, but okay. And then but it's kind of like a little ember of some drama for later. And then the episode ends with Stormy Daniels mopping up the lift, talking to Dr. DILF. And we get the amazing sign-off, which is send nudes, which every episode ends with.
Yeah.
Which I love. Oh, boy. The second episode starts with a new dad. We get Dr. Ed, who was also fucking hot. I would say probably
Mhm.
the hottest guy there, I reckon. He rocks up. He's got a
Mhm.
doctorate in educational leadership, which I'm like, what is that? And he gets presented a menu of himbos from Stormy, and he gets to pick one based off a photo to go on a date with.
Mhm.
And as soon as they mention there's twins in the house, he's like, oh no. He's like, nope, I am also a twin. And the fact that they're here doing this show together is gross and is like a red flag. And I'm like, how much twin trauma are we getting in this show? Like, this is like the second episode and there's like more twin trauma. I don't know. I feel like I know a few gay identical twins, and I feel like they all have a bit of a chip on their shoulder about something. This is just confirming that bias for me.
They would be dealing with a lot of unwanted sexualization of, like, everyone sees
True.
two identical gay people and they're like, so you guys do it, right? And I'm sure that would be infuriating unless they actually did.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, with Derek and Daniel, I'm like, I don't know, but you know, Dr. Ed comes out to meet all the boys. Daniel is all keen, but he picks Rico, and Nigel's face is priceless. Like, I love this so much. Every time somebody is interested in Rico, we get Nigel's face, and it's just like, sort of like he's trying to smile, but it's like twitching. So good. Do you think they put him up to this for that moment?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like they would have engineered all these. Well, actually, saying that, I don't know if the show is well produced enough for them to have engineered all of this stuff. I think they lucked out with a lot of just unhinged stuff happening by chance.
True. You're right. I don't know if they were, smart enough to engineer any of this. I feel like it's actually legit. So they cook breakfast together and they're trying to get to know each other, but Rico's really straight with him. He's like, look, I've kind of already coupled up with someone. It's like cut to crazy stalker Nigel. Then they played this very strange quiz game where they have to like answer the most inconsistent questions ever. It was like gay slang. It was like, she ate and A, left no crumbs, or B, was full. I'm like, oh my God, who wrote these questions? My favorite part of this was Nick is like, what's a mortgage? He's like, I don't know what a mortgage is. I was like, oh, honey. Like, and you never will.
Yeah.
So good. The himbos win, so they get to pick their dates, which like this format is so messy. Like, I'm never really quite following what's happening with this, but somehow they all get paired up each episode. Aaron chooses Kane. Big Sal is a little bit annoyed by that, and Kane is also disappointed because I think Kane feels like he's scored a bit with Nick at the start. Do you think?
Yeah, I think that he definitely, I don't know if he's like has any feelings for him, but it's more like he got a good prize. I was getting that vibe.
Well, he acts all spiritual, but I feel like he's actually quite like materialistic, and I feel like he's like, this guy's hot and he picked me, and it gave him a little bit of a boost of ego, but then it doesn't seem to be that interested. I don't know what's going on with Kane. We all know how Nick feels about this. He's pissed because somebody's stolen his daddy. Derek picks Anthony. Daniel picks Dr. Ed. Luders does not get picked, and this is where the bomb goes off. So they're like, oh, remember last season? Like, someone doesn't get picked, and then you just get to visit all of the dates. And we get like a flashback to that from last season. And it was this toxic twink that like really enjoyed pissing off all of the dates, which was quite funny. But Ludus is like, oh no, I'm not being made into the fool. And he immediately spirals and storms off the show. What did you think?
Like, amazing TV, and you know, I kind of see where he's coming from. Like, he could, I guess it depends on what you've come on this show for. Like, if you're actually there for love, like, it totally makes sense. If you're there for, you know, to boost your social media presence, probably a stupid move. But yeah. Like, again, when we see where he ends up at the end of the season, like, you can kind of see why this happened.
Absolutely. And I think that, yeah, if you're not there to like play a bit of a jester role and like do what they say, then yeah, the only other option is to make a dramatic exit, which I think is totally cunt and fantastic. And this kind of starts this whole thing. So Stormy gets so mad that she like doesn't come to the life drawing challenge, so they have to just draw Stormy from memory.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. And then they end up at the elimination ceremony, and Stormy rocks up and she's like, put down those stupid photos. I was like cackling with laughter. This was so good because she's genuinely pissed off, and then she gives them this spray about like finding true love and like,
but it was totally unjustified though.
yeah, totally.
Like, she was angry at Luders. Like, Luders is the one that walked out, but yet she's yelling at all of them who were just doing like nothing. They were just participating in the show.
Yeah,
I don't
she's
understand
mad
what
that
was going on in that
someone
moment.
quit. So she's like, I think she was trying to scare them all into not quitting. It felt very RuPaul. Like, when they're kind of acting up a bit on Drag Race, and then RuPaul will give them like a bit of a stern talking to, and they're all like, oh shit, like she's serious.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no one goes. She tells us about her daddy and how he saved her life and blah, blah, blah. And okay, it's like, send nudes. Episode 3, we meet the bimbo himbo, Hazel. Wow, what a fucking piece of work. Like, she's a model. She's giving Escaped a Religious Cult realness to this show.
I loved Hazel because Hazel was extremely attractive. So if Hazel was a terrible person, really, you didn't find Hazel attractive? No, I think Hazel's
That's
gorgeous.
not my vibe. No,
ginger 6-pack. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it.
Even if that look was my thing, the personality on it, I'm like, ugh, like it all just nah. I can't with Hazel. But am I glad that they were cast in this show? Abso-fucking-lutely, because talk about drama and just like the weirdest person I've ever seen. Like, and these looks, oh my god.
Yeah, the looks were amazing. But like, I don't know. I don't think they were that strange, really. Like, Hazel actually seemed like a nice person, I thought. Didn't you?
What? Oh, did we watch the same show? I thought Hazel was an absolute piece of work. I think that he's like one of those people that's like, oh, who, me? Am I the drama? Like, that's who Hazel is. Like, Hazel knew exactly what she was doing, like starting shit, getting under people's skin. The whole thing with Anthony, like that to me was so insane. Like, that is like a narcissistic, crazy person like makes things like that up to get attention, and it worked. Like,
Yeah.
that was so crazy. And she kind of got away with it. They were all like, oh yeah. Like, all the heat went on to Anthony. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, did you have a different take on that, Sitch?
Like, it's hard to say because, again, the show never showed us what actually happened. So we have to take them at their word. Like, Anthony, he's insisted that it was
I don't
innocent.
doubt that Anthony was hitting on him.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think Anthony would win.
I don't doubt it. I think he was trying it on. But also, who cares? Like, I think that that's fine. And I think Hazel shouldn't have told anyone about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or in that way.
Yeah, I think
Like-
it all comes down to there's like a differing attitude towards every single person on the show and what the show is and what they're actually doing there. So what is actually acceptable for these people to be doing with each
100%.
other is just like so vague that you could make an argument out of anything.
Totally. Speaking of, meanwhile, we get round 2 between Aaron and Nick. So they're like working out outside, and then Nick calls Aaron a daddy hopper. So, you're just a daddy hopper. And he's like, "Ugh." And they fight about how Aaron has stolen Kane from Nick. And I'm just like, this show is fucking great. And Nick is such good TV because he's like, why don't you be a man and get up and leave then? And like, he's like trying to get Aaron to leave, and then he leaves. I'm like, this is chaos. Nick is on some Ritalin or something. I don't know. There's like a lot of bouncy energy from him. Then we get a great moment with the twins where they're swooning over their daddies. And he's like, who has got a PhD? Girl, like those, I could watch those two all day, just sit and like talk, like swoon over their daddies. I was so in love with those bits. And then Hazel enters the mansion.
Yeah, I love how down pat you have their voices.
I've been practicing. So I like, I have watched this show twice now. So
yeah.
Hazel enters. Nick is a little bit threatened because he's like, of course, he's got 40 times more abs than me, because of course that's all he's focusing on. Big Sal is big salivating.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gross. I love they're like, Hazel, introduce yourself. And Hazel goes, hey everyone, I'm Hazel. I like left a religious cult, so that was cute. It's like a softcore porn. Like it's the start of a fucking B-grade porno. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What did you think? So he picks Dr. Ed, which I'm like, duh, pick the hottest guy for his date. What did you think of their connection?
I don't think Hazel had a connection with anyone. Hazel has a connection with himself. And I think Hazel's there to promote his porn videos, his OnlyFans. But I'm here for it.
Does that exist?
Yeah, he's like a full-on porn star. Like,
of course. I hadn't seen any of it, but I assumed very much so. And that's why Hazel drives me nuts.
I'll send you links.
Oh, please. He was like saying all this stuff about being all wholesome and all that. It's classic someone that's been involved in religion. Like they're doing all this stuff, but they like don't. They're not forthcoming about it. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah.
So Hazel is talking about how his sibling outed him and blah, blah, blah. I know he loves being a victim. I'm like, whatever. Then they play this game where they have to guess each other's butts through Stormy's gaping hole. Which was, the challenges on this show are just perfect, aren't they?
Yeah.
So silly. And Rico's wearing a gimp mask for no reason. I love that. He just like rocks up to the challenge in like a full gimp mask. They all make fun of Jimmy's pasty white ass that hasn't seen the sun. He's like, it hasn't seen the sun for about 28 or 29 years. I'm like, that is so Spectrum. I love it. Big Sal creeps on Hazel. He's like talking about, so he's like, oh, I used to date a guy that looked like you. He was like a surfer. I was like, oh, like no game. Did you think Big Sal had a chance with Hazel at any point?
Not. Yeah, I'd be interested to know if Hazel actually likes daddies or not, because he didn't seem to like any of the daddies in the house. I don't know if that's due to the selection that they had, but he just didn't seem into anyone.
Yeah. It's true. So then it's like a daddy's choice elimination. And so they all pick a himbo, and the himbo not chosen goes home. And poor fucking Aaron, he doesn't get chosen. And he goes off. But again, I feel like they turn the cameras off or something, because I feel like we don't get to see the full spat. What did you think?
Yeah, just like everything in the show, it just was random. And like I didn't understand, like I didn't get why the elimination was happening. Like there never seemed to be a point to anything in the show.
No, not at any point. And then so Aaron loses it. He's like, Sal was pressured by production into choosing Hazel, and that's why I didn't get picked, and blah blah blah. And then they cut to Sal being like, for the record, I was not pressured by production. I'm like, oh my god, so good. I love a tantrum. This is like the second or third tantrum of this show now, and we're like 3 eps in. The next episode, we get the daddies gossiping by the pool. Kane's all like, we should look after the young guys, and Dr. Ed's like, nah, fuck that. He's like, they can deal. Okay. We get the spelling bee. Nigel is so intense, as always. Derek and Anthony win, so they get to go on a date, which is like a karate date, which is kind of whatever. And Kane and Nick are chatting, and it's like they're just not really vibing at all, you can tell. And I think this comes back to your point before about Kane just not really having a clear motive for being on this show. I think he was just being a bit spontaneous and wanted to have some fun. But, then they do some kinky stuff with rope bondage. Kane reveals he's not kinky, which I was like, yep, could have told you that. And then Whiplash editing, it's an elimination. You're like, okay, sure. This is when, and so they just completely changed the format again. Now it's like Survivor, and they have to vote for 2 people, but it can be anyone. Is that right? Or it had to be like a daddy and a himbo, but they didn't necessarily have to be.
They never made it clear. They never made any of that clear.
By this.
Yeah. It could, as far as I could kind of gauge, it had to be one daddy and one himbo, but they didn't have to be a couple. They could be like any of them. But again, what is this achieving in the point of the show, which is for a himbo and a daddy to find love? What are the eliminations achieving?
Totally. And like this one in particular was where a few things started where, the choice of voting kicks up some drama between like Rico and Nigel, for example, because they're like, Rico wanted Nigel to vote with him, but he doesn't because they get individual votes. It's very confusing. Sal and Nick get the most votes, so they go. But just before they leave, they bring out a fresh daddy and a fresh himbo, all oiled up. It's Barry and Marcus, but we don't meet them quite yet. They're just sort of there on the side. And the group say that Sal and Nick had to go because they were sort of the least genuine people. And I was kind of happy. Like, it was good timing for both of them to go. I was getting bored with both of them. So worked out well. I'm sure Aaron was thrilled watching from home. The next episode, Kane is pissed off with the guys for sending Nick home, but I didn't buy this. Like, did you? It seemed like some story producing.
Yeah, well, it's just that everything that comes out of his mouth seems so disingenuous. Like, it didn't seem genuine. Like that embarrassment and that like, am I really on this show attitude was like there. He just seemed to be going through the motions.
Oh, definitely. Nigel, of course, wanted Rico and him to vote together, and I don't know, that whole thing I found so weird. And again, we didn't get enough background on camera for it to really make sense. But moving on, we meet the newbies. Marcus is the himbo, a Caribbean spicy model who's pretty hot. And Daddy Barry, who Barry just weirded me out. I'm sorry. Like hot body, but like some weird work in the face going on. And I just didn't like Barry's vibe from the start. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see that. I was pretty much on the same page. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, I mentioned before I watched Too Hot to Handle, and they do the same thing where they bring in intruders in pairs. And I've never seen this happen where the intruder pair just immediately get with each other and then ignore everyone else. It just kind of defeats the purpose of bringing in intruders into the show.
Totally. And of course that's going to happen because like they're coming together, and in this way as well, they kind of saved like the two kind of like ripped guys for the end like this. And of course they're just going to end up together. I don't know. They seemed like a couple when they walked in. Then we get my favorite character of this whole show, Matthew Schneider. Lawyer by day, stand-up comedian by night. I fell in love with this guy, Paul. I can't tell you. Like, give me a big, dorky, hairy man any day. Like, his awkwardness, I was just like obsessed with this guy. And so is Rico. Rico is like, oh, we get another bear.
Like he's very cute, and I like his energy. Would I go see one of his stand-up comedy shows? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Fuck no. I wish him well, but look, he's not around for a very long time because, long story short, the two hotties pair up, and we get this big will they won't they with Rico. Is Rico going to choose Matthew and leave Nigel heartbroken, which I kind of would have loved in like an alternate universe where that happens. But
yeah,
no, it's not to be. And Rico does the predictable thing of staying with Nigel, who of course erupts in like a huge emotional like, fucking thing about...
I just wanted to crawl up into a ball.
Yeah.
Just not look at the screen. Like, just baffling.
It was a tough one. It was really like, this was great TV. Like this episode was probably the best one, I think, for this moment, like having the will they, won't they, having the poker night or whatever, and just like toying with Nigel's emotions in a very unethical but fabulous way.
Yeah. In
the next episode, Rico grills Nigel a bit. He's like, look, I need my partner to be a ride or die. And he's still mad about the vote thing, which I'm just like, Rico, move on. Like, that's not, like, who cares?
Yeah, like everyone was criticizing Looters for the pajama thing, yet he is like threatening to break up because his partner wouldn't vote the same as him. Like, it's actually ridiculous and toxic and fucked up. And the fact that like Nigel still defends, just makes me so angry.
It's really hard to watch, and because you just know Rico is really like exploiting a vulnerable person in this stage, but also it's someone that you don't really care for. So it's awkward. Stormy reveals to us that she's a witch, and they all have to put a word into the cauldron. And I just died, Paul. This scene was so funny. They're all like, my word is insecurity or like anxiety. Like, this is like if someone ever goes like, why are gay men so broken? I would just like play them like this clip.
Absolutely. It's also another lift from Too Hot to Handle, I feel, because that show they do like workshops which often involve writing things down and then burning them or destroying them in some way. So it seems to be a popular therapy method.
So this is the next big drama, is the Hazel Anthony thing. So I love how this comes up. Like, we get first, there's a bit of drama between Derek and Anthony, and it's so funny what it is. Derek's like, I was with my man on the bed and he was looking back at somebody else and he wasn't looking at me. And then they cut to this like unhinged like security cam footage of like all of them kind of dry rooting in the same room on the bed. I'm like, what is happening? And Anthony like turns around to look at someone and Derek is mad about it. So funny. And then Hazel decides this is the perfect time to reveal to Derek that Anthony's been hitting on him behind his back. And yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the footage, but allegedly there was some coming on strong. And Derek spirals hard. Tell me your thoughts on this sitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing television again. Like, I don't know if what he did, even if it did happen exactly how they said, was it even that bad? Like, he just said, I want to get to know you. They're on a dating show. Like, is this really something to be that upset about?
Totally. I think the punishment did not befit the crime, and also it just highlighted to me how delusional this whole cast is in like a lot of ways. Like, there's just so much contradiction going on, particularly from Hazel. And now that you're telling me Hazel's fucking like taking it up the arse on OnlyFans, I'm like, come on, girl, like relax. It's just, they all want to appear to be so virtuous, so pure, but they can't. I don't know. You can tell they all just want to fuck each other anyway. So,
yeah.
Then the next.
Those gays.
The next dramatic thing to happen is Marcus and Barry have to eliminate someone on a boat. And they choose a very controversial decision. They choose Ed and Daniel, who, of course, are pissed off that they've been eliminated by one couple. And it really just is the worst move ever, because they put this target on their backs now as being like just assholes, basically. Do you think it was the beginning of the end for them?
Absolutely. And like, this would have been the perfect opportunity to eliminate Nigel and Rico. They would have had perfect like motive for it, that they're a toxic, awful couple.
Totally.
No one would have begrudged them for getting rid of them. So it was a stupid move. But led to an amazing rant when they got eliminated.
Yeah, particularly from Dr. Ed, who is like pissed. I think, and he doesn't come back, does he? Like at the reunion and stuff. I don't think Ed's there. Which I'm like, okay, fair enough.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
The next episode sees my favorite challenge of the whole series, the phone sex challenge. So this was fucking amazing. Basically, they have to, like, in front of Stormy, have phone sex, pretending that they're like long distance. And some people just don't understand the assignment at all here. Like, Barry just starts being like, so how's your mom?
Yeah, that was so
And
good.
then, of course, Derek's voice going, I'm just feeling horny. I wish you were here on this bed. Oh, you just don't even know. But like, him trying to do sexy, I just died. Jimmy and Keith are like so kinky, and they're talking about spanking and stuff. And Stormy's, the cutaways to Stormy's face, fucking priceless television. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But Hazel and Kane have no vibe at all. There's no sexual chemistry.
If you can shock the person that's had sex with Donald Trump, like, you're doing good.
Exactly. Absolutely. Kane and Hazel no sexual chemistry whatsoever. So then out of nowhere, Jimmy just goes, like, starts reading Nigel for filth, which I love. Like, surely production put him up to it or something, but they're like, just let Nigel know how you feel about him. And he's like, basically calls him out for being toxic. And he does not respond well.
Yeah. But my appreciation from Jimmy just like skyrocketed in that moment. So good.
100%. I was like so on board with Jimmy at that moment. He backpedals a bit though and apologizes to kind of keep things cool, which I think was a good idea. I wouldn't want to have a scorned Nigel after me because he is unstable. And then there's elimination, and of course strippers arrive for the elimination because why not? And Barry and Marcus get what's fucking coming to them for being dirty dogs, and it's like, bye. The next few episodes are sort of the finals, and we get all of the returning, like the eliminated contestants return, and it's kind of like they have to pretty much vote, like very Survivor style. They have to like jury vote for who the best couple is going to be. Did you think that was a good way to go about crowning the winner?
Well, again, like I don't think anything this show does is conducive to actually finding the best couple. So if you want good drama, you want good TV, yeah. If you want an actual fair competition, that's finding the most like romantically matched, most deserving couple, then absolutely not. They're all coming in with their grudges and their biases, and yeah, there was no way to sway them off of that. So
exactly. And there was a lot of grudges and biases brought back into the house. My favorite probably being Luders just going off. Luders and Derek or Daniel just going each other like a back and forth that never ended. I thought that was hilarious. Kane and Hazel get eliminated for having the lowest in common score, which I think was like the only way they were going to get them out of there. But a good move. Oh my God, they do that photo shoot as well. We have to talk about the photo shoot.
Oh my God. So cringy.
They all just look absolute trash. So we also get more of the Anthony and Hazel drama. So they go each other again in the kitchen. This is sort of just before Kane and Hazel get eliminated. We get like the return of that. They kind of close the loop on that argument. So the top three are Jimmy and Keith, Nigel and Rico, and Anthony and Derek. Did you feel this was correct?
No, because Nigel and Rico should not have been there. Every time they made it through, I'm like, what is actually happening? The other two couples, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's insanity that they got through this far.
I know. And then the next two episodes are kind of filler. Like we just have, the returnees there. They decide that Jimmy and Keith don't make it to the final. So the top two is Nigel and Rico and Anthony and Derek. So I'm assuming at this point you're rooting for Anthony and Derek to win?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
They almost did too. Like it was pretty tight, the vote at the end. And I think it was tight. Yeah, like Jimmy and stuff were not buying what Rico and Nigel were selling. So there was kind of like, there was a bit of animosity towards them, and Anthony and Derek got a lot of votes as well, but not to be. And Nigel and Rico end up winning the fucking thing.
I was so angry. I was angry when that happened. So what are they rewarding here? I don't think I've ever seen such a toxic couple being created on a reality TV like dating competition show. Like,
Yeah.
and for them to be rewarded at the end with the winning the whole fucking thing is just crazy.
Do you know if they're still together?
I think they are.
Oh my God. I imagine that they've just, they would be really like
I did
codependent vibes.
Or I feel like, which is funny because Nigel's is the daddy in this situation, but I feel like Rico's the actual daddy, and I think he just is the master and Nigel's the slave.
Oh, 100%. And that, totally. I think Rico's definitely dom and Nigel's definitely sub, and I reckon they get up to some fucking kinky shit and some emotional abuse, low key. But look, all the best to them.
Yeah.
Dr. DILF at the end promises us a season 3 as well. He's like, I'll be back next year with more himbos and daddies. I was like, okay, well, you've committed to that now. What are you hoping for in a season 3?
Look, there's a lot in this show that could be improved, but I don't know if improving it will actually improve the show, because I think a lot of the charm of this show is how incompetently made it is. So, so, I'm kind of hoping they just don't change anything. Just put more crazy people in the house. Randomly change the rules every episode. Just bring in strippers for no reason. All those kind of like, little hallmarks that the show is like set up now. I'm happy for that to continue.
I'm with you. I have no notes. I think they should keep everything exactly the same. And just keep getting that casting pool from wherever you're finding these people, because it's a gold mine as far as I'm concerned.
I do want this marketing team to do a better job, though, because I've been telling people about this show and been wanting to show them clips, but there's nothing on YouTube. Like, I want to be able to show them like Luda's absolutely losing his shit in the last episode, because I feel like that's an all-timer moment and it's nowhere on the internet. So, like, lift your game up, DILF marketers.
I'm with you. I think they also need to shop it around, get it on a streaming service or something, because it's fucking great. It must be doing all right if they're making a 3rd season. So, I have no idea how anyone is watching this. I don't even know how I found it on the deep, dark corners of the internet. Paul Mizzi, it's been a pleasure having you back to talk about another absolute train wreck of a dating show. Where can our listeners find you online?
So the podcast I do is called the Swapcast Podcast. So find us on Instagram, and we're on all the major podcasting platforms. So wherever you're listening to this, you can listen to us. So it's the Swapcast Podcast.
Amazing. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for listening to The Cringe is Real with me, Sam Cremon. If you would like to support the show, rate, review, share, and tell your friends about it. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the show notes.